Get ready, because what's waking up now isn't just a passing phase, it's an activation. A silent call rising from the depths of your psyche. On March 26th, Lilith enters the sign of Scorpio. And while this movement may seem invisible in the sky, it will be impossible to ignore within. You might try to go on with your normal routine, but at some point, you'll feel a strange discomfort, an unexpected craving, an unexplained anger, or an old memory that just won't go away. That's no coincidence, it's Lilith at work, and Scorpio opening the gate for the shadow to rise. This transit isn't here to comfort, it's here to provoke, reveal, confront. You're being called to face what you've always tried to hide, what you've repressed, denied, or feared to confront. But here's the truth. What you repress controls you. What you accept sets you free. And Lilith in Scorpio is done with forced silences. She wants your raw power, not the edited version. From now on, the universe will start to whisper, and sometimes scream, will you hide again, or allow yourself to be reborn? This is the energy. This is the portal. And you're standing right at the threshold. Before understanding the impact of this Scorpio entry, you need to face who Lilith is and what she represents within you. Lilith isn't a planet. She has no light of her own. Lilith is a point, but not just any point. She's the void that screams, the absence that has presence, the energy that was banished, and because of that, became powerful. In astrology, Lilith is linked to the most untamable part of the soul, the one that refuses to obey, that won't be silenced, that holds a wild force within, one that many fear, including you. Historically, Lilith was portrayed as the first woman, the one who refused to submit to Adam and chose exile over submission. In astrological symbolism, she became the archetype of what gets cast out: denied desire, repressed rage, misunderstood independence, uncensored, primal femininity. Lilith is the echo of what you hide, for fear of not being accepted. But it never stops pulsing. When collectively activated, like now, she brings the need to face your shadows with courage, not to be punished by them, but to be reintegrated, whole, true, complete. Because denying Lilith is living only half of yourself. And now that she enters Scorpio, the sign of death and rebirth, mystery and surrender, power and regeneration. You're being called not just to look at your shadow, but to walk through it and find power on the other side. Lilith alone is already intense, but in Scorpio, she doesn't whisper, she roars. Scorpio is the sign of extreme depth. Nothing in Scorpio is shallow. Everything here involves transformation, intensity, surrender, pain, and rebirth. When Lilith enters this archetype, she finds fertile ground to awaken what you tried to bury. But what was buried didn't die. It's alive and waiting for this moment to rise with force. What does Scorpio activate in this transit? Healings that can no longer be postponed, truths that can no longer be ignored, desires that refuse to be censored, relationships that expose what was hidden, jealousy, obsession, fear of loss, manipulation. This is the sign that rules taboos, sex, death, magic, power, shadow. Everything society tries to hide. Scorpio brings to the surface, and Lilith intensifies it. But this isn't just about crisis. It's about transformation. Lilith in Scorpio wants you to go through the dark night of the soul, not to suffer, but to emerge on the other side more true. She activates your courage to face inherited family patterns, unconscious traumas still driving your reactions, beliefs that you must hide parts of yourself to be accepted. And instead of keeping it in the dark, she brings it into the light. But it's a subterranean light, internal, uncomfortable, liberating. You can resist, or you can dive in. But know this, the more you try to protect yourself from your own depth, the more life will pull you in. You don't need to know astrology to feel when something shifts. The body senses it, the mind reacts, the soul recognizes it. Since Lilith started approaching Scorpio, many people have been reporting strange sensations, deep discomforts, as if something is poking from the inside. And it is. Lilith in Scorpio doesn't ask for permission. She activates. And she shows up where you least expect it. In emotional reactions, in dreams, in impulses. Common signs of this awakening. Intense desires that are hard to explain. A craving for something you can't rationalize, but feel you need. Emotional outbursts with seemingly no reason. Anger, jealousy, deep sadness, all bubbling up at once. Old memories resurfacing with force, as if begging for resolution. A feeling of being pulled inward. A call to get quiet, dive deep, rethink patterns and relationships. A desire to break away from what no longer feels true. Partnerships, friendships, promises, versions of yourself. Lilith wants you to break free, even if it comes with some pain. These signs are not problems, they're messages. They're your shadow saying, I'm here, and I won't be ignored anymore. And the more you resist them, the louder they become. But if you welcome them and start having a dialogue, you'll realize what felt destructive was just a part of you asking to be seen. You're not breaking down, you're being rebuilt from the inside. If there's one place where Lilith in Scorpio hits hardest, it's in relationships, and not the light ones, the deep ones, the intense ones, where there's attachment, desire, control, silence, and power. This transit may bring to the surface jealousy you thought you'd already worked through, control masked as care, fear of being abandoned or betrayed, magnetic attractions to people who stir your most primal instincts. Lilith in Scorpio wants to show you where you lose yourself trying to stay safe, where you self-sabotage out of fear of rejection, and where you try to cage the other out of fear of losing them. It might feel brutal, but it's not. It's liberating. Because once you see the root of those dynamics, you stop blaming others and start healing yourself. What might show up during this period? Intense confrontations between couples, where old wounds come roaring back. The return of karmic, obsessive, or unresolved relationships. A spike in sexual desire, along with potential frustration. A push to end relationships based on dependency, submission, or emotional manipulation. But at the same time, there's space for deeper, raw, more honest connections. Lilith in Scorpio wants you to live with surrender, but not fear, with intensity, but not imprisonment, with desire, but without throwing your power away. This is the perfect moment to reassess your deepest bonds and ask yourself, am I here out of love or emotional addiction, out of freedom or fear of being alone? This transit will show you the answer, but it's up to you to decide what to do with it. Lilith in Scorpio isn't here to destroy you. She's here to remind you of who you really are. When you stop running from what you feel. This transit is like a dark mirror. It reflects not only what you show, but everything you've hidden, even from yourself. And here's the key. What you find in the shadow can become light, if you're brave enough to walk through it. A real chance for transmutation. You can turn hurt into strength, shame into self-knowledge, repressed anger into the courage to speak your truth, distorted desire into creative energy. Lilith in Scorpio stirs chaos, but only to dissolve what no longer serves. How to use this energy with awareness. Accept the discomfort as part of the process. It's the sign that something is shifting. Don't fight it. Listen to it. Don't shame yourself for intense thoughts or desires. They're surfacing to be acknowledged, not denied. Recognize them, feel them, release them. Observe your emotional patterns. What stories keep repeating in your relationships? What fears are hiding behind your silences? Transform confrontation into release. If something explodes, use it to understand what needs healing. Don't repress, but don't react on autopilot either. Breathe, reflect, choose. This transit is a portal, and portals aren't places to stay. They're passages. You can come out of it stronger, truer, more conscious, but only if you cross it with courage, not resistance. Lilith in Scorpio doesn't ask for perfection. She asks for presence, courage, truth, and one of the most powerful ways to integrate this energy is to create an inner space for listening, not with the rational mind, but with the part of you that you usually avoid feeling. Below is a symbolic, simple, yet deeply transformative practice, a ritual of silence with your own shadow. Ritual, meeting the part of you that you hide. Choose a moment when you're alone and in silence, preferably at night or in low lighting. Lilith's energy moves best away from the spotlight. Light a black or dark red candle. If you don't have one, a regular candle will do. The idea is to mark the beginning of your meeting with what lies within. Close your eyes and breathe deeply for a few minutes. With each exhale, imagine yourself descending down the stairs of your mind toward a dark room. That's where your shadow waits, not to scare you, but to be heard. When you feel you've reached the bottom, ask, what part of me have I rejected out of fear of not being loved? What within me needs to be seen with compassion, not guilt? What truth inside me wants to be expressed, but is still trapped? Don't try to control the answers, just listen, feel, write them down if you want, give thanks, blow out the candle, and say to yourself softly or in your mind, I choose to integrate. I am not half. I am whole. If done with sincerity, this practice can be a turning point in your emotional journey. Because when you stop running from your shadow, it stops chasing you and starts guiding you. Lilith has already crossed the gate, and now she walks through the most hidden territory of your being. Scorpio is not a sign that allows masks, and Lilith does not accept censorship. So in the coming days and weeks, you may feel challenged, provoked, unsettled, but above all, invited to be reborn. Don't ignore that invitation. Don't shrink from your own intensity, because your pain might be the entry to your strength. Your desire could be the key to your truth, and your shadow might just be the path back to yourself. Lilith in Scorpio didn't come to destroy. She came to reveal what was already broken and to give you the chance to rebuild with awareness. You don't have to do it alone. You just have to start with honesty. Look in the mirror and say, I'm ready to be whole, even if it scares me. And if you've made it this far, it's because something inside you has already begun to awaken. Now, a special request. If this message resonated with you, if it helped you make sense of what you're feeling, or gave you the strength to walk through something that felt impossible, like this video, share it with someone who's also going through something intense. And if you're not subscribed yet, join us. Because here, we speak the truths most people avoid. And if you feel called, leave a comment sharing what you felt. Your story might be someone else's light. Thank you for staying till the end. And remember, the shadow is not the end of the light. It's the place where your strength has been waiting for you. See you in the next video. Malail.